Cassie, and today it's Saturday, the something of June. Oh, why am I so rubbish with the dates? Anyway, I think it's the last Saturday in June, and I'm here at my town allotment to spend the day as much as possible. Anyway, I'm just checking actually. I've noticed nearly on every video I have something on my face. Something has blown onto my face and it sticks there for the whole of the video and I look like an idiot. So have I got anything on my face? Hopefully not. Anyway, oh, wobbly camera. Really professional here. So yes, I'm here on this Saturday morning. It's quite cloudy but quite warm and humid. And I have got so many jobs that I want to get on with that I'm really going to have to be disciplined today as to what I'm going to do. So I have decided that this morning, what's left of this morning, because it always takes me longer to get out than it should do. This morning I am going to stake the tomatoes which are on the plastic plot behind me, the one that I've covered with a view to trying to suppress the couch grass over the year. So we're going to try and stake those that have survived slugging and to make them stronger. So that's my first job. My second job this morning will be to take the compost over that I have brought and is in the boot of my car at the moment to make up another another bed on my new plot. And I will show you in the process of doing that that I have already completed one bed, which I'm really pleased about. I came earlier in the week with my husband, and he very kindly removed for me the plastic tarp that was sat on, that I couldn't remove last time, that I gave up on. So that is now gone, although I do need to take it to the tip. I also then I'm kind of using the plot for things I'm going to use this year, this new plot, to some extent for things that I probably wouldn't bother doing otherwise if I didn't have this unexpected bonus of some spare space. So similarly to in my last video, I planted out some aubergine plants in my riverside allotment. I brought with me some chilli plants, or pepper plants this time. I don't really have any expectations of them coming to anything, but they are. But let me show you. They're kind of reasonably healthy, although running out of nutrients. They are the spares that when I was potting out the proper plants, which are in my greenhouse, and some of them actually have little peppers on, which is great. These are the spares. And I hate throwing out anything. I've seen quite a lot of us, particularly us women, I think I have to say, without wanting to generalise, we find it really hard to throw away rejected seedlings. So I am one of those people, and I'm just going to put them in and see what happens, because who knows, we might have a really hot rest of the summer and the peppers might grow. We might have what they used to call an Indian summer in September. The peppers might grow then. They might come to nothing, but even if they come to nothing, there will be plants growing in that ground that there wouldn't otherwise be, that would be just leaving room for weeds. So I'm going for it. Okay, so that's the job list for this morning. Tomatoes, compost, peppers. I then said to my daughter that I will take her out for lunch. So I'm going to take my daughter out for lunch. And when I get back from lunch, I'm going to spend the later afternoon and evening focusing on my main plot. That's this one here, that has been a little bit neglected in all of the excitement of the new plot, particularly my brassicas. My brassicas are bursting out of their netting. Some of them aren't looking hugely healthy. Sorry, there's a loud plane going overhead. I don't know if you can hear that. So I'm going to be sorting that out, and I'm going to be harvesting the broad beans, which here, unlike at my riverside allotment, do not appear to have been eaten by little creatures. So I should have a good harvest of them, but I do need to get them in. I've decided that I will obviously use some now, put some in the fridge, put a few in the freezer, but I'm also going to try fermenting broad beans. So I will see how that gets on. I will also, on the theme of harvesting, harvest these onions, which you can see have flopped, which means they're ready. And they can go back. Actually, I might just leave them lying here to dry in this allotment because there are fewer pests. Yeah, I'll probably do that. But I will get them out of the ground and ready to start drying out. I will pick the tayberries that I've got there, looking absolutely gorgeous. What strawberries I've got, and peas. There are masses of peas tucked behind the broad beans there and running all down the length of the allotment. So I will do those as well. So that's this afternoon's jobs. I'm mainly saying this for my benefit, to remember what I said I was going to do. Weed the allotment, especially the brassicas, and sort the brassicas out. Harvest the broad beans, harvest the onions, and harvest the peas. So that's quite a lot to do, and I'm looking forward to it. A lovely day. And if I don't get it all done, there's always tomorrow. So let's see how I go. So I'm here at the top of the site at my plastic allotment, as I've been calling it, and let me show you. So yes, it's as you know, or may not know, it's one that a friend of mine who has plots at the allotment was given too many plots, and for managing, and certainly in this year anyway, and gave it to me, gave me the use of it while I was waiting for my second plot to come through. Obviously, I'm not going to abandon it now that my second plot has come through, and we'll work out what we do with it in future. But for now, I've been growing things which could be grown through holes in the plastic. And the three main things I'm growing here, let's start again. 5 main things I'm growing here are tomatoes. So these are my outdoor tomatoes here. And I'll show you a bit more closely in a moment, but they are Crimson Crush and Consuelo tomatoes, which have been bred to be blight resistant. We do get blight at this site, and it's wiped out quite a lot of my tomatoes in the last couple of years, so I'm giving these two breeds, is that the right word? Varieties, a go. Now, so that's one of the things. The other thing that I'm growing is sweet corn, and that is coming on really nicely, and we'll look at that in a moment. The third thing I'm growing is forest. No, it's not forest really, but it is a number of various cucurbit plants. So courgettes, pumpkins, and the squashes. Now, there are some holes in the plastic where the plants succumbed to squash. Interestingly, the ones in the middle. But we've got some really good growth here, and I'll show you that in a moment. Fourthly, at the end there of, let's see if I can zoom in a bit. You see I've got some bean poles up. These haven't been doing very well, and also haven't been terribly well. Have been a little bit neglected by me. So contrary to my initial plan, I'm going to sneak in a little bit of weeding of those beans and see how they're doing. And fifthly and lastly, I have sown, I'll get closer in a moment, but a wildflower meadow, which is just coming to its absolute glory. And I am so pleased about that. And I will also look at that in more details in a moment. Okay. So the tomatoes, my job was to stake them, which I have done, and I've tied each of them to the stakes, except where they are exceptionally small, like that one, diddy one down there. I've tied them to the stakes. And the reason that's diddy is actually some of the tomato plants I thought had died off. I thought I was going to have to replace them, and then when I came with replacements, I saw that there was actually life and growth in each of the holes that I had made. So they seem to be doing quite well. I had a bit of a job staking them because, I don't know, I need to check it out, but they almost feel like they are bush tomatoes. In other words, they're expected to go broad and bushy. I mean, look at that one, it's growing out in all directions, as opposed to cordon, although those perhaps do look a bit more like cordon. I think they're cordon potatoes, tomatoes, but I'm going to look that up and see what it says. But anyway, I have done a job, not a particularly good one, but a job in staking them there. So moving on to the cucurbits. Here I've got, they're growing really, really well. They're down that side of the plot anyway. Although, infuriatingly, all the ones I planted up the middle seem to have bitten the dust, or rather been bitten to dust by slugs. So I've got quite a lot of wasted space here, but it is just the first year. It is primarily, the intention of the plastic is to suppress that grass, so it's hopefully doing its job. But we've got some great growth here and some rather mischievous behaviour from these pumpkin and squash plants, because they've got all of that plastic to grow over. But where are they growing? But over towards the next allotment, over the path, anywhere but where I want them to. But never mind, we've got some really healthy developments. Looking here, I think that's a blue, a Crown Prince blue pumpkin. Not sure what that one is there, but there's little pumpkins on that. We've got some lovely yellow courgettes here, which I'm going to harvest some of, because it's a good idea to take them when they are small, so that the plant, twisting them off, put them down there for a minute, so that the plant continues to produce some more. Oh, knocked the flower off that one. Right, taken all of those. Of course, then I got the job of carrying them. Oh my word, what a palaver. One hand on the camera, one hand on the courgettes, can't manage them all. Let's go and put them by the bag and I'll take them down later. My trusty backpack. Put them there. Okay, so yeah, got those. Got some more courgettes down there. And I think another pumpkin as well. Yeah, I think that one there, that big one there, is a giant pumpkin. So let's hope that comes to something as well. That'd be very exciting. So they're doing fine. There's also a cheeky potato that's plonked itself in the middle of this, come through a hole in the plastic. Well, we'll let it. But really impressively, let's see him out of it if we can. Yeah, there's my sweet corn. It's looking so chunky. Look at that plant there. Whoop, that one there, massive, with all those stems coming off it. It's just, they are looking so healthy. They were such hard work to plant out. I got so hot and bothered doing it, but I think it's going to have been worth it, which is possibly more than can be said for the slightly more sad, although there are some doing well, bless them, beans. So these are the second lot that I put in, are growing up that little tower quite well. In fact, they've reached the top. Well done, beans. The first lot, and to fair play, they are slightly suppressed by grass, but they got kind of munched and are not doing brilliantly. I think they'll pick up. I think I'll have a few, but there's not nearly as many as I wanted. And I've very silly, but I've put the replacement beans that I grew to grow here in the new plot, in my excitement about the new plot. But oh well, I'm going to do, despite my jobs list, a little bit of weeding here before I go back to the other plot. And then finally here, my absolute triumph and joy, which is this beautiful wildflower meadow, which I have sown and which has come to life so beautifully. I can't get over it. I absolutely love it. And if my friend Nick Dean is watching, amidst these are 2 packets of cornflower seeds from your motor neuron disease gala dinner that were given to people, and I put them amongst other wild flower seeds And this is what we've got. And it's absolutely beautiful. Stunning. Of the beans, and they're looking a bit happier now. I can see more clearly where I've got gaps, which is all along that back row there. They've all been eaten, the last two having survived, and then I've just got one gap kind of there on this side and also at the far end. So yeah, not as bad as I thought. I will see if I can get some more beans. Maybe I've got some growing, I'm not quite sure, can't remember now, that I can replace those with, because it would be nice to have that frame fully covered with beans. So I have now nearly used up my time. And the compost is not at the side. I probably can manage to do that. If I go back now and get the compost loaded into the truck and taken over to the other side, I could probably complete that bit and feel I've actually done one of my jobs. Okay, so I'll get on with that now. So a few weeks ago, some of you met John, who is my allotment neighbour, and John is an incredibly kind person because as soon as I got my new plot, he came rushing over to me and said that he had the contract to put up my guttering, and that is exactly what he's done. So here's John. John, do you want to give us a guided tour of what you've done?
I'm the guttering expert. So this side we have a nicely falling gutter coming down here, and it will go in here once I've received information on how it's to be. But it'll probably be
I've got to give you some instructions.
You have. I'll probably cut
through the hole. There's a hole.
Well, it needs more. It needs that bit cutting out.
Okay.
And then this can be fixed.
Yeah.
And you can then remove that.
Okay.
Simply.
All right. Yeah. Brilliant.
A little bit more simple than that.
Let's have a look at this one here. This is the one. That's a slight problem with availability of water butts from the distributors.
There's a world shortage.
Yeah. So talk us through this one.
This one's very cunning because it has slots in here. So very cunningly, the downpipe has been put so it comes to there. I might need to cut a notch or two in that one. Then the water goes into there.
Oh,
and
clever, isn't it? Yeah.
Here we are. You can tell we have water in there.
We do. I looked earlier and had a bit. Yeah.
Yes. But there was a big error.
There was a slight error, wasn't there?
A huge error.
Which direction was the error?
It was down here.
It was down here.
And I gone looking for the outlet for the tap. I didn't see it. But that's there. It's
and I said to you, there was just one flaw in your work.
Yes.
We had a gaping hole at the bottom, but we don't now.
Yes, and
brilliant.
all these bits and pieces are from jobs I've done in the past.
Yeah.
On 4 houses.
Oh, it's amazing, and you've done such a fantastic job. I'm so pleased with it.
Well,
Thank you.
I'm an artisan.
You are. You're a very talented and very generous man, and I am so grateful. Thank you, John. So it's the next day and I've managed to lose my microphone, so I'm going to have to speak really loudly and do things between people being here so that I don't look like an idiot. I got lots of things done yesterday, not everything that I wanted to do, so I'm going to draw a plan of action for today. The first of which is I really need to water my main plot here. I can see here that some of my celery is looking a little yellow, and I just think that's from lack of water, to be honest. I've also had a bit of a disaster in that the tayberry arch has slipped over. I think it's due to the weight of the berries, so one thing will be to pick the berries But my main jobs today are going to be to water the allotment, weed this allotment, and harvest the beans and possibly the onions. So as you might also see, I just pause because somebody's arriving, I managed to get a big brassica cage over my cauliflowers and cabbages, and those are doing really well, and I will film those in a moment. So I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed by broad beans at the moment. This is my pink wheelbarrow laden to the brim with broad bean plants with the pods still on them that I'm going to sit and put into my trug, which is almost full of broad beans. I started off by trying to just stand and pull each of the pods off the plants, but that was quite tiring, so it's easier, I think. Just cut the whole plant and then take the pods off and chop the plant off and put it in the compost. But there's still so many of them, and look, there are still loads standing as well, so this could take some time. I'll let you know how I get on. So it's just gone 6:15 and I got here, was it 11ish this morning? I'm absolutely knackered. I have been working so hard. It's been very fruitful. I'll show you in a moment what my harvest is from today. I still feel like I haven't done everything I wanted to do, but then I've got to get used to the fact that I always feel like that. So without further ado, so this bed here was full of broad beans, and the broad beans are now out and I've harvested those. I'll show you those in a moment. So I absolutely cleared it as much as I could do, gave it a top dressing of compost, and then I've put in, you can barely see them, but you can see the little blue labels. I've just put in some very tiny seedlings that I have sown for various sort of salady things. So there's some radish, some lettuce, some spinach, chicory, pak choy. Then there's some brassicas, as if I'm short of brassicas, but there we go. I've put some more in, broccoli and so forth. I have a sneaky feeling they won't survive, but as we're going on holiday soon, I don't think the seedlings would survive longer in the greenhouse. So anyway, they're in. Let's see if they do anything. That'll be good. But the bed's been dug over from the broad beans. I've left the roots in for nitrogen purposes. Yeah, it was quite an effort. I've also gone and picked the strawberry bed. I haven't been able to weed it in the distance there, that it's still full of couch grass. But that's going to have to happen another day. And so now to the absolute bonanza of hard-won fruit and veg that I have produced on this little plot. So yeah, I think I might put the heading as I'm going to need a bigger trug, because look at the broad beans sitting there, filling my trug and filling a massive plant pot as well. So massive broad bean harvest, which makes up for the ones at the other site being eaten by creatures. Then I've got some beautiful onions. Now these are onions that I grew from seed over winter, and they're absolutely lovely. They're a really good shape. They're not too big. There's quite a lot of them. So I'm going to take them down to my shed and dry them out in there. And then got some lovely strawberries. Now this is the last of the strawberries. There's quite a few that have gone over or been eaten, but I'm not crying in my soup about that, because I've had an absolute bonanza of strawberries and they've been beautiful. And then finally, I think it's finally, yes, I had completely forgotten that I had got shallots sown between the broad beans and the strawberries, and they'd got really overgrown. So perhaps unsurprisingly, they're not massive, but they are ready, and they'd flopped over, and they're ready. And there's lots of them, so they're going to also go and dry in the shed, and I'll sort and clean them all later. But yeah, an absolute feast, or lots of feasts, and I'm really pleased with that. So I was going to say that's the end of a long weekend, but actually it's only Saturday night. I keep getting muddled up. So there'll probably be some more work tomorrow, but I'm going to sign off here and say thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you all again soon. Bye bye.